Otherwise, you don't have any point of coming this class at all. Anyway, yesterday, there was important decision. The Bank of Korea cut interest rate unexpectedly. Okay. Of course, I mean, many people expect Bank of Korea will lower interest rate in the regular meeting, but yesterday decision was not regular meeting. They made a sudden decision. Okay. The question is why, and there are still debate about whether it is smart decision or not. And then actually I got this report from Nomura, okay, from Mr. Young Song-kwon. He was also at Lehman Brothers, so I know him. Yeah. And Lehman Brothers was acquired by Nomura, Lehman Asian, and then he didn't leave Lehman Brothers, but I left. Anyway, I still got his report. So let's see. The new policy mix suggests another cut. We expect, okay, so he expects that Bank of Korea will lower interest further. How much? 25 bips cut. BP means 1 BP. 1 bips means the 1 over 100%. Bank of Korea unexpectedly cut the policy rate to record low of the 1.75%. Consensus of 2%. 2 of the 7 MPC members voted for hold. So MPC is Monetary Policy Committee. There are 7 members, and they make interest rate decision. And 5 said they need to lower interest rate, and 2 were against it. Okay, so 5-2, so they lower the rate. The MPC statement suggested that the BOK will trim 2015 GDP growth and CPI inflation forecast in April. So that's the one reason why actually they cut interest rate, okay? Because they expect GDP growth lower, and they expect CPI inflation rate will be lower. So in order to stimulate economic growth, they lower interest rate, and then when they lower interest rate, it means that they print out more money, and they can increase inflation. But anyway, CPI inflation is very low, so that's fine. Okay. Of course, one problem is that see, interest rate is 1.7, official policy rate is 1.75%, and the inflation expectation is 1.9%. It means that interest rate is lower than inflation rate. So therefore, real interest rate is negative, which means that if we put money in the bank, you are actually losing money. So anyway, it's record low. It never happened before in Korea. Such a low interest rate is below 2%. It was new. By the way, in Euroland, in the European Central Bank, they are more aggressive in quantitative easing nowadays, and then they will lower interest rate too. Many people expect that. Anyway, therefore, we expect that. So because of these factors, we expect the BOK to cut rate further to 1.5% before July 2015. In our view, the most likely time is June or July. Yeah. The race strategy, I don't think this part is written by him. This part is written by this one, Asia race strategy team. And race strategy. Okay, so how to make money based on this forecast. We maintain our receive bias in Korean swaps and continue to recommend staying received in Korean won 3-year swap. Wow, that's a hard word, right? Can anyone understand what this sentence means? Can anyone understand? Okay, there are a couple of difficult terms. The most important term here is a swap. In this case, swap is interest rate swap. Swap means change, right? Change it. So in this case, swap means that there are two contracting party, and one party pays fixed rate and then receive floating rate, and the other party pay floating rate and receive fixed rate. Okay? So for example, one party will receive like 2% every month. 2% is of course annualized rate, so approximately 2% over 12 rate every month. One party receives that, and then instead he or she pays whatever interest rate which is prevalent at the particular moment. Okay? So we don't know what would be the interest rate when we give the floating rate. Okay? So do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, any question about swap? Swap? This is a very important concept. Yeah. Why suddenly Japanese bank? Why do we have a Japanese bank suddenly? No, it is Nomura Asia office. BOK is Korea, and Mr. Young-sun Kwon, he is in Nomura. It is Japanese bank, but Nomura is a global financial institute, and they have a lot of clients who are in Korea and who are also interested in Korea. So he covers Korean economy. Okay, he is an economist in Japanese bank covering Korean economy. Okay, and he writes a report about Korean economy and send it out to clients who are interested in investing in Korea. Okay, like some people, in Nomura there is also Samsung Electronics analyst. Okay, he covers Samsung Electronics and investigates Samsung Electronics, and then recommend whether to buy or sell Samsung Electronics. Okay, it is in Japanese bank. Nomura is Japanese bank, but still they have Samsung Electronics analysis in Seoul office, and they have Google analyst in New York, something like that.
Yeah, my question was, this is a swap. This is currency swap between a dollar and
No, it is not currency swap. Again, I told you it is interest rate swap. Okay, it is again interest rate swap. One party pays fixed and receive floating, and the other party pays floating and receive fixed rate. Just a moment. Okay. On interest rate swap, what I'm talking about, the interest swap, is a popular and highly liquid financial derivative instrument in which two parties agree to exchange interest rate cash flows based on specified notional amount. Right? Suppose notional amount is $100, then interest rate 2%, then one party pay like $2 over the year, so $2 over 12 per month, something like that. And the other party pays whatever interest rate prevailing at the particular month. Okay. We want to specify notional amount, that's notional amount, from a fixed rate to floating rate, or vice versa, or from the one floating rate to another. Interest swaps are used for both hedging and speculating. Here, what I'm saying is this one. Oh, this is a currency. It is a mixture of the interest rate swap and currency swap. Is there any simpler? Corporation, swap counterpart, fixed rate. Yeah, interest rate. Okay, let me the most simplest image. Okay, swap counterparty. So, for example, this party it is a fixed rate, right? They pay fixed rate, and they pay 6 months LIBOR. LIBOR is floating rate, benchmark U.S. interest rate, short-term 6 months rate, something like this. So notional amount in this case, notional amount is 10 million, and so it means that $10 million multiplied by this rate divided by 12, that amount flows from here to here. And this $10 million multiplied by this rate divided by 12 flows from here to here. Okay, if it is usually it's monthly contract. And maturity is 5 years. Sometimes it is in case it is semi-annual. So sorry, so it is every 6 months. So it should be divided up to every 6 months. So maturity is 5 years. So they exchange this money for the next 5 years every 6 months. Payment frequency, both fixed and floating rate payments are made semi-annually, so not monthly. So it is 2 times per year. So do you understand what I'm saying? So this is a very important contract.
So
Yes.
If somebody earns money, then the other counterparty loses.
Yes. Suppose, okay, they made this agreement, and suppose LIBOR suddenly go up. Okay, we don't know how interest rate change, but suppose some interest rate suddenly go up, LIBOR suddenly go up, then who will make money? Yes, this guy receive more. He makes money, he lose money. Okay, if the interest rate go down, who makes money? This guy makes money because he give less, receive same amount, and he always give 10.5%, but now receive less smaller amount, so he lose money. Okay. So it is simple. Yes. Oh yeah, it is always risky. Interest rate can swap, can default. Yeah, it is possible. Oh, so the question is why we do this? Why we do this? Okay. What is the advantage of doing this, right? So the question is why on earth this kind of contract exists? This kind of contract exists because there is a benefit of doing that. So for example, now, okay, there are many regions. The most straightforward, one of the most common explanation is a comparative advantage argument. Okay, this is important also. It is like a topic for financial engineering or derivative, but let me cover it. What is this? Oh, this is looks more fun, but any interesting figure about? Okay, let me see this one. Okay, there is a company A. Suppose there are 2 companies. And then the setting is that okay, we'd like to now there is a 2 setting. There is 2 company A and company B. Okay, company A can borrow from the market. Okay, of course, can borrow from market at this rate. Of course, this rate is determined by the credit rating. Okay, credit rating of this particular company. Credit rating means whether this company is like trustworthy or not about their debt. Okay, so if you go to the bank and try to borrow money, the bank is likely to charge a lot of high interest rate because they don't believe you, because your credit rate is low. But if your parent guarantee your debt, then your credit rating goes up and bank will charge lower interest rate, something like that. Same here. So bank A's credit rating is such that Bank A can borrow 6 months float. If Bank A borrow at floating rate, they have to pay 6 months floating rate LIBOR plus this one. LIBOR is benchmark for almost risk-free rate. So company A is clearly not risk-free. Company A can default. Therefore, they have to pay 0.5, 50 bips more than LIBOR. Okay? So this is the default premium of the company A because they have to pay more than risk-free rate. And then if they decided to borrow at fixed rate, they have to pay 10.75%. Okay? So it's two options, floating and fixed. But company A have a preference for fixed rate borrowing. Okay? So he wants to borrow. So if because company A is interested in fixed rate borrowing, he simply go to fixed rate bond market and they have to pay this amount per year. But company A is not happy about that and they want to pay less. Okay? There are many reasons about that because although maybe he has a business with the company A has a business with his client such that the amount is maybe floating. Depends on they have account receivable from the company, something like that, and then account value of account receivable can change always. So in that case, okay. So suppose they have account of receivable for fixed amount, so they will receive fixed amount someday, and therefore, in order to reduce their risk, they may want to borrow at fixed rate, so that if they receive money from their client, then simply they can deliver it to the bank. Okay? If it is floating rate, although I receive money from account receivable, then I am exposed to the risk of the floating rate. So maybe he doesn't like it, therefore company A wants to borrow at fixed rate. Okay? That is one possibility. Now company B is in the opposite position. Company B is a 6 months floating rate at LIBOR plus 0.25% and 5-year fixed rate and 10%. Okay? And it would like to reduce its floating borrowing cost. Okay? So this guy wants to borrow at fixed rate and this guy wants to borrow at floating rate. And then if we borrow at floating rate, it has to pay LIBOR plus 0.25%. But this is company B is not happy about this rate and wants to lower that rate. So what should we do? One interesting thing about these two is that clearly company B has higher credit rating than company A, right? Because depending on whether it is floating rate or fixed rate, well, company B's rate is lower than this one, floating lower than this one, and company A's fixed rate is lower than this one. So company B's credit rating is much better, right? It doesn't matter whether it's floating or fixed rate, right? But still, there is a possibility of creating a profitable contract between them. Okay? The intuition is that let's compare the gap spread, interest rate spread between company A and company B. In company A, let me use Excel. Let's say company A, let's call it, okay, so company A and company B, and then floating and fixed. And then when company A borrow, then it is LIBOR plus, LIBOR plus LIBOR plus 0.5%, and then 10.75%. This is 0.25%, and then it is 10%, right? Oh, sorry, 10% fixed rate. So see, company B has, wait, I want to match the digit. Okay. So company A has absolute advantage in bond market, whether it is floating or fixed. How many advantage? Okay. A minus B. Let's compare A minus B, then this minus B. So in floating rate market, company B has 0.25% advantage, right? And then in the fixed rate market, company B has even larger advantage, right? 0.75%. So this is somewhat strange. So it means that the difference of the difference, we can calculate difference of difference. Okay. Difference of why? Difference of the difference is 0.5%. So actually company B is stronger in fixed market, in floating market, right? Right? Company B has absolute advantage in both markets, but it is even stronger in fixed market than floating market because the gap is here is larger, right? So therefore we can say that okay, company B has absolute advantage in both financial market, both bond market, but company B has comparative advantage in the fixed rate bond market, and company A has comparative advantage in floating rate bond market. Company A is inferior to every market, but is less inferior to here. So company A has compared to here, company has a comparative advantage. So that's why we can create value. Okay. So let's use this example over here more. Okay. So this guy is interested in, company A is interested in floating rate, and company B is interested in fixed rate. So suppose we have a bank. Bank here is a Hanyang Investment Bank. Suppose you are a smart investment banker at Hanyang Investment Bank, and you have two clients, company A and company B, and then company A want to borrow at fixed rate, and company B want to borrow at floating rate. There are two client needs, and you have to solve their client problem, and you can construct a deal. The deal structure looks like this. So company B, which needs a floating rate, okay? Company B needs floating rate. So you can just, as an investment banker, first you drop by company B and talk with their CFO. Okay, I know you need floating rate bond, okay? But I know you have one floating rate bond, so I have an idea, okay? I'm willing to borrow you at floating rate, okay? And then instead you go to bond market borrow at fixed rate, which is 10%. So what company B does is that, okay, they borrow in the fixed rate market at 10%, so they have to give 10% every month, and then bank instead give the 10% to the company B. Okay, so you promise company B that you will pay 10% per month, and company B borrow at 10% from this lender. Okay, instead you borrow company B at floating rate, at LIBOR rate. So they construct deal such that from between bank and company B, they pay liable every year, and you pay 10% every year. And then company B borrow from the market at 10%. Then company B is exactly borrowing a floating rate, right? Because although they borrow at 10% in the market, I and you guys, you investment bank, pay this company B at 10%, so simply receive 10% give to the market, so that's fine. But you can pay only LIBOR rate, so it's okay, right? In the end, what company B pays is just LIBOR rate. If company B doesn't drop by you, investment bank, they have to pay this rate. Where is it? Am I right? Yeah, this company pay LIBOR plus 0.25%, but now they can pay only LIBOR rate, so they have to pay less. They pay 0.25% less. So company B should be happy about that, right? And now you can go your another client, company A, and say that I know company A, you want to borrow at floating rate, so I construct you want to borrow at fixed rate. So I suggest this deal. So I'll please borrow money from the market at floating rate, although you want fixed rate. So company A can borrow at LIBOR plus 0.5%. Okay, so they borrow it, and then instead the bank promised this company A that they will pay, right? They will pay LIBOR. Okay, so what they do is company A do is they receive LIBOR from us and pay LIBOR plus 0.5%. Okay. Instead, the bank suggests the company A that I will lend you money at 10.10% per year, something like that. So in the end, what company A pays is that, okay, receive LIBOR and pay LIBOR plus 0.5%. So this cancels out, right? This is cancels out. So and then they receive this one. So eventually, what they pay is that this plus this amount, right? So company A is basically paying. Oh, this is so annoying. Yeah. Company A is paying because this and this cancel out, this and this cancel out, and they pay this more and here pay more. So eventually they pay this plus this one. So they pay at 10% to 6%, which is actually lower than 10%, 7.5%, right? So they are actually paying fixed rate, which is 6.10% to 60, which is lower than 10%, 7.5%. So actually they are saving 0.15%, right? And as an investment banker, what you are doing is that, okay, you receive LIBOR from and you simply deliver this LIBOR to company A, and you receive this amount 10%, 10% on 0%, 1% from this guy, and simply pay 10%. So in the middle, wow, you are making 0.1%. So now everyone is happy, right? This company B want to borrow at floating rate, and then they can save 0.25%, and then this company A want to borrow at fixed rate, and they instead of paying 10%, 7.5%, they pay simply 10%, 60%, so save 0.75%, and investment banker in the middle, there is no risk, just change hand and make money over 0.1% every year. So it seems that everyone is happy. Right? This is one example of why interest rate swap is used. Because it makes everyone happy, right? So, as an investment banker, you solve the problem of your client, makes everyone happy, and you make your money. So the intuition is that let's take a look at this. How much everyone is happy? Okay, this guy is happy by 0% to 1%. This guy is happy by 0% to 1.5%. And this company B is happy by 0.7. If we sum them all, we created value by what? 0.5%, right? This plus, this plus, this plus, which is exactly this one, the gap between difference of the difference. So in the end, we create this value. So by using interest rate swap, brokering deal between your client, you can create this kind of value, and out of this amount of value, you take 0.1%, you give company A 0.15%, and you give company B 0.25%. Maybe company B is more important client than company A, possibly. That's why you give more money to company B in this deal. This is a long discussion about interest rate swap. Any other question? So, answering your question, okay? Now you can see why in theory exists interest rate swap. So, I mean, it is just a simple example. In real life, of course, life is harder than this, and of course, it is not so easy to make money. This kind of deal is not so easily available. So life is much more complicated. You have to connect more clients. Okay. Well, and then besides this one, there is other reasons why interest swap is used. So, but yeah. This is like a textbook example. So let's go. Okay. So that's the interest swap. Okay. Okay. So this guy. Okay. Company B is a fixed rate receiver, floating rate payer. Okay? Company A is fixed rate payer and floating rate receiver. Okay? So as an investment bank, okay, you have two interest rate swap. You make interest rate swap with company A and exactly opposite interest rate swap with company B. Okay, so there are those two interest rate swap. And in the market, so it is over-the-counter market, but in the market there is equilibrium interest swap rate. In equilibrium, okay, in equilibrium, suppose one party decided to pay LIBOR, okay, LIBOR. In the market, if there is no risk, in equilibrium we know how much we have to pay, how much fixed rate we have to pay. They are non-market interest rates, so this is called swap rate. LIBOR instead of LIBOR, they have to give a fixed rate. So this is swap rate, but it is like a company level different rate. There is risk-free. Suppose there is no. In this case, there is a possibility of default. That's why it is different. But suppose there is no risk of default, then there is an equilibrium swap rate of this one, equivalent LIBOR, and then exactly fixed rate. Then make two risk-free. Two riskless party equivalent. Okay, that is called swap rate, and that is in what market trade. And then let's go to Bank of Korea interest rate strategy. What the Nomura ICRA strategy team suggested, we maintain our receive bias in Korean swap. Now we can understand and continue to recommend staying received. It means that in the rate strategy, what they're recommending is that in swap deal, please be a receiver, fixed rate receiver. Okay. Staying received swap. So there is a hidden word, fixed rate receiver. I mean, it's obvious, right? They recommend their client to receive fixed rate and give floating rate because they expect Bank of Korea will lower interest rate further down. Right? So interest rate go down, what? Which party is better? If I receive fixed and give floating rate, I become happier in the future, right? If I know interest rate go down, because what I receive is the same, but I can give less in the future. Okay. 3-year swap. So 3-year swap is a maturity for the next 3 years. For the next 3 years, these guys expect that interest rate going down tends to be lower than current stage. So when they make 3-year swap contract, please be a fixed rate receiver, okay, and floating rate giver. And then another one, we expect yield curve steepening to persist. Yield curve is like interest rate curve. Yield curve is Yield curve is another very important concept. It is simply graph, curve, okay, curve, and then y-axis is time to maturity, time to maturity of the bond, and then this is y-axis yield to maturity. Okay, for example, when we suppose this is like 1 year, suppose I borrow money for the next 1 year, then how much I have to pay? The fixed rate is maybe this amount, this rate, like 1%. If I want to borrow $1,000 and pay back 3 years later, how much interest rate should I pay? Maybe that becomes 2%. 3 years. Okay. So in the market, depending on the maturity of the debt, there is the prevailing interest rate for the particular debt, right? For all kind of contract. So if we connect the rate for all kind of contract maturing in the future, and we connect them together, then it is called yield curve. Okay, so this is yield curve. Okay. The shape of this yield curve is called term structure of interest rate. Have you ever heard about term structure of interest rate? Right? I think everyone heard of it. If you read like Financial Times or other business, they always say term structure of interest rate and bond yield, something like that. You have to know this kind of a term in order to read the Financial Times. Okay. Do you read the Financial Times? No, please read it. What kind of newspaper are you reading? Do you read any newspaper? You? Okay. It is German newspaper? Okay. What kind of newspaper are you reading, Kim? Economist, my favorite magazine. Actually, many people's favorite magazine. Good. So I recommend you in Europe, please read Financial Times and Economist. Okay. Business Insider is also good. So anyway, in order to understand the Financial Times or the Economist, you have to know this kind of term. What is yield, and what is term structure of interest, and what is swap, something like that. Very important for Korean students. Please read The Economist too. Okay? It is a weekly magazine and published in UK. I know it is expensive, but I think it is available in the library. So anyways, this is called yield curve. And then what they expected, we expect yield curve steepening. Okay, yield curve steepening. It means that currently yield curve looks like this, and tomorrow they expect yield curve looks like this. Steepening. Okay. Why? It is steepening because they expect Bank of Korea will lower short-term. Basically, central bank can control short-term interest rate, and because they lower short-term interest rate, they are pulling down the yield curve, so it becomes steeper. Okay. Yield curve steepening to persist. And then actually there are many other ways to make money because we expect yield curve becomes steeper, so we can construct so if this is truly true, if we believe interest rate curve becomes steeper, then we can construct a deal such that we always give short rate and receive long-term rate, something like that. Okay? Then in the long run, long-term rate is maybe stable, but short-term rate becomes even steeper. So we can create money, we can make money, something like that, right? So, for example, in order to pay short-term rate and receive long-term rate, what we can do is we can borrow like 3 months and borrow by issuing short-term debt and investing that money into long-term debt, something like this. That's the most obvious way. Okay, so there is another way in the bond market, possible bond market strategy. If we know interest yield curve will be steeper, right? But they didn't suggest this kind of complicated, more complicated. They simply suggest the most simplest strategy of this: please receive fixed and pay floating in interest rate swap. This is their interest rate swap. Anyway, in our view, there are two main takeaways from the BOK meeting today. First, the BOK will apparently trim it seemingly optimistic 2015 economic outlook in April, right? I mean, that's why they lowered the interest rate from the beginning, okay? Second, household debt would no longer appear to be major hurdle for the monetary easing if there are downside risks to growth and inflation. Okay. Thing is that there is no free lunch in the market. The Bank of Korea lowered the interest rate in order to stimulate the economy. And one side effect is usually inflation, but they don't worry about inflation that much because anyway, Korea is in the stage of disinflation. Inflation rate is very low. But there is still cost. Possible cost is housing market. Okay, it is a Korean specific situation, but in Korea there are huge household debt. Every Korean people have debt of like $20,000, like a 20,000 euro debt per person. So that's a lot, right? Something like that. Exact number may be wrong, but something like that. So there are a lot of leverage. Korean people have a lot of debt already. And if they lower interest rate further, what's going to happen? People is likely to borrow even more, right? Because interest rate is low, so finance costs become low. So, wow, it is good, so let's borrow more. And there are already high level of household debt, and because of the low interest rate, there is a risk that the household debt become even larger. Then it becomes a risk to the economy. So that is the side effects. Then what should the government do? So they have kind of two-track strategy. Okay, thing is that indeed we see a new macro policy mix. Okay, so in government economic policy, there are roughly speaking three kind of economic macro policy. The famous two is monetary policy and fiscal policy, right? So in monetary policy, we expect the Bank of Korea to respond to inflation risk. So they ease money, they print out more money. Okay, so there's monetary policy, but there is a risk in the household debt, risk of household debt. In order to prevent that, they will use fiscal policy to manage the household debt problem. How? Well, one possible way is that, wow, interest rate is low, so let's borrow more money from the bank. That's a possible Korean people's idea. And if they go to bank, then bank can say, I cannot lend you money because government tell not to do so, something like that. Okay. One idea is government simply shut down the lending window to households, right? In order to prevent the household that explode. And that is very crude. That is very crude fiscal policy, but fiscal policy is basically a version of that. In April, we expect the Bank of Korea to trim its 2016 GDP growth forecast to 3.0% from 3.4%, and its CPI inflation forecast 1% from, so inflation forecast becomes lower and growth forecast lower, and that's why they lower interest rate. I mean, if you know this logic, suppose now you are a Bank of Korea watcher, European Central Bank watcher, and before they make decision, maybe you want to make expectation about how they will make decision. In fact, if you can forecast how Draghi will make interest rate decision or how Bank of Korea will make interest, you can actually make money. If you expect they will lower interest rate for sure, then what you can do is you can borrow, you can invest in a bond. Then bond price go up and you can make money. Something like that. So actually, making forecast about interest rate decision is one of the most important role of the economist in the brokerage firm, like this one, Mr. Kwon. Okay. So, I mean, if you understand this kind of logic, then actually you can make a forecast about the ECB or BOK decision. If you expect economic growth rate in the future will go down, then what is your expectation about interest rate? Your expectation is that, okay, because people are pessimistic of future economic growth, then it's likely that European Central Bank will lower interest rate. That's the logical conclusion. And then if you have forecast about future that inflation rate will go up in the future, then your logical guess about ECB's response is that, well, because inflation rate will be high in the future, then European Central Bank should move first, which means that they have to increase interest rate, something like that. So from this, you can actually guess, okay, how Bank of Korea will behave. Okay, so we believe the Bank of Korea upcoming new economic will again prove optimistic given the forecast. The rate cut should help support housing market recovery, which is positive for construction. The Korean house market is not so good. It becomes better and better, but not so good. So by lowering interest rate, people try to invest, borrow money, and buy more house. Okay, that can be good. And that is good for construction investment because people want to buy more house. The demand for house increases, then there should be more supply for house, which is good news for construction company. Okay. However, the inevitable transitional cost, but there is a downside, is the 전세. And housing price or how renting price or house increases, there is a negative effect. Okay, and in order to prevent that, government will implement fiscal policy to prevent that. Okay. Also, Financial Supervisory Commission 금융위원회 recently announced a program to provide amortized mortgage products at Korean Housing Finance Corporation, 한국주택금융공사 안심전환대출. 아니, it is a technical term. To make this measure effective in reducing amount of interest rate. So government, because of the side effect of the interest rate cut and risk in the housing market, government should suppress demand somehow. Okay, suppress demand somehow. They have to suppress Korean household from borrowing money too much and investing house market too much. In order to prevent that, what government can do is they can lower loan to value ratio or debt to income ratio. This is a very important policy instrument in Europe too. Okay, loan to value is that, okay, this is easy. Debt to income ratio is that if you make $1 million per year, maybe you can borrow up to $2 million per year, something like that. So they have a limit to how much they make money per year and how much they can borrow, something like that. So they decide the ratio between debt to income. Okay. Another way is loan to value ratio. Suppose you want to buy this house and you want to borrow money. Suppose the value of this house is $1 million. Okay, value of this $1 million. Then because of the government maximum loan value ratio, then I can lend you money only $500,000, something like that. Okay, so basically loan to value ratio, DLTV, DTI is kind of way to prevent people from borrowing money. Okay, you can borrow up to this amount, something like that. So by lowering that rate, because government basically through this one, government can prevent the housing market exploding. The BOK is only one of several central banks that have recently delivered further monetary easing. Okay, European Central Bank actually will lower interest rate, possibly, very likely too. Actually, they already started their quantitative easing. Or, we believe the Bank of Korea will again downgrade its outlook once, and then therefore we expect to be okay. Okay, this is logic because they expect, because this economist, this Nomura believe BOK will downgrade output, about they are pessimistic about Korean economy. Therefore, they expect Bank of Korea will cut rate. Okay, like that. Rate strategy is what I explained. The yield curve steepening to forces. Yield curve becomes steeper. We maintain our receive bias in Korea swap and continue to recommend staying received in Korean World 3-year swap. Figure 3, where is figure 3? They are mentioning their previous report. We believe investors should use any uptick in rate to accumulate receiver in the front of the Korean rate. Wow, what they suggest is that, I mean, they expect interest rate go down and down, okay? But the path to interest rate go down is not smooth. Sometimes it's possible that interest rate go up slightly and then maybe they go further, okay? From a valuation perspective, we believe markets are yet not adequately pricing the possibility of future rate cut. I mean, if market everyone has exactly the same idea that future interest will be lower, then basically no one can make money. Okay? I know interest rate, they expect interest rate go down, and that's why they suggest the swap rate. But if everyone has exactly the same thought, then nobody will do that, and the swap rate will become lower. So there will be less, because of that competition, there will be less profit from that swap strategy, right? But thing is that they believe that market is not yet adequately pricing the possibility of future rate cut. Okay, so that's why they are suggesting this one. At current valuation, the curve is pricing at 10 bps of rate cut within 6 months, so there remains a value in holding front-end receiver. Okay. We like 3-year part of the curve, so they like a 3-year contract. So there remains a value in holding, as we believe the rate up to 3 years, for the next 3 years, will primarily depend on monetary easing expectation. It depends on Bank of Korea easing decision. The curve dynamic with steepening bias, which I already explained. Okay, any question?